You might not be getting jobs because people hate working with you. You can have the best art skills in the world, but if you have lousy people skills, nobody's ever going to want to work with you and you're going to ruin your art career. But here's how you're going to fix that. Welcome to the Art Mentor. My name is Sean, and today you're going to learn what I've learned about everything that you might be doing right now and don't even know that's pissing off your art clients and pissing off your art directors and why they never want to work with you ever again so that you don't ruin your artistic career by doing dumb stuff like this. You know what the number one mistake that I see people doing all the time for why they're not doing better and they're not getting more return clients and they're not making more money is because they're not listening to the client. I see so many artists just going rogue and just doing what they want, but then it just becomes like a mystery to them as far as why don't they get more jobs? Why aren't they more successful? Well, it's because you're not doing what the client asks you to do. This especially goes for when you work with corporate clients and art directors, okay? When you're working with somebody who's an art director, they're gonna lay out everything that is totally necessary. And this especially goes for anyone watching this here right now that wants to work in-house at an art studio, at a game studio, at an illustration firm. You have to do what the client asks. Use your ideas, use your inspirations, insert your flair into it, but just make sure that you are actually fulfilling the task that you were originally hired for. Otherwise, people don't want to work with you. Imagine it like this. Imagine if you ordered food and then you went to go pick it up and you're like, what is this? I ordered Chinese. Why do I have Italian? It's the same thing with an art client or an art director or in our house. You need to make sure that you're actually fulfilling the task that you were hired for, or else why would you want to go back there? Now, when you're working with clients, when you're working with art directors, okay, what do you think the number one thing that they want out of an artist? I'm going to tell you from my experience, it is trust. You need to instill a sense of trust into that client. While you're doing that though, please rest assured and understand this, that you are being hired because you are definitely perceived as the expert. Be the expert. So always be gentle in telling your art client what will work and what won't work, because it's really gonna make you appear like you are a specialist. So for example, in this artwork that you're seeing right here, here's what the client asked me to do. He told me that this dragonborn character needed to have a brass head, a blue arm, purple legs, and a red right arm. And I was like, okay, listen, that is a really cool idea. However, though, I'm really not sure that that's going to really lend itself to this image, and I think it's going to be a little bit confusing. Do you think it's possible for us to maybe limit that down a little bit? And this is what we came to. So listen, when you're working with freelance art clients, you want them to understand your thought process is because they don't know as much as you do. So be gentle in your approach. Now let's contrast this really quick with a corporate director or an art director, okay? So when you're approaching these types of clients, it's a little bit different. What I would actually recommend you do is don't just tell them, show them. Don't put in like a ton of time, but take like an extra hour or half hour and actually show them, hey, this idea I think is gonna look a little bit better. Hey, what do you think about this? I was thinking about it this way instead of the way that we had talked about last time, because I just think it's going to communicate, or it's going to show better, or it's going to be more eye-catching. Show them why. So definitely make sure that you at all times appear to be the expert on that project, and people are going to respect you for it. Now let's say that you're really invested into your customer service, into the quality of your interactions with your clients, and you're doing a great job of it. But listen, are you just a pushover people pleaser too at the same time? And this might surprise you to learn, but yeah, that might be why you're not getting art clients anymore. Because listen, if you are somebody who is always just at their beck and call, that always makes sure that they immediately respond to everybody on everything, that makes sure that they, no matter how extreme the request is, that you fulfill that because you're nervous about the fact that you might not get any more jobs, that you might not get another commission for a while. And especially y'all, I see this a lot, and I'm going to speak from experience here. When you work with cheap art clients, you get basically into this position of what I call a volunteer victim, which is when you are going to do everything that the client asks out of fear that you're going to lose them. That's not how you need to operate, because it basically demonstrates a lack of respect for yourself. Y'all, I wish I was joking with this example, but I'm not. I have seen more than one job posting where a client specified that they want to be on live stream while the artist is working on the art piece so that they can comment on it. Like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I would never want anyone's voice in my head while I'm making artwork, and neither would you. So make sure that you're not putting yourself into an abused role where you're going to be working with clients that actually don't respect you, that are just control freaks. Make sure that you respect yourself, make sure that you respect the work, but at the same time, don't kill yourself for this, because it's just artwork, it's just a job. Make sure that you get in, you get out, and you deliver something you're stupidly proud of. Hey, have you ever tried to argue with somebody and no matter what you say, they just always have a comeback and they just seem to be forcing their opinions or ideals on you? Well, listen, if you're forcing your vision onto an art client or an art director, then there's no way that they're gonna ever wanna work with you. And more often than not, your idea might be better than the client's. Now, for example, on this artwork that you're seeing, my client really wanted this character to have big, huge wings. He's like a 9-foot tall dragonborn warrior, okay? You want him to have like a big 7-foot wingspan. And I could have just gone in really hard and said like, no, that's absolutely not gonna work. It's gonna ruin the composition. I'm not gonna be able to see anything in the background like I wanted to. Or I took a more gentle approach and I said to him, okay, look, if you really want this, I can do it. However, though, just FYI, here's what we're gonna lose on this one. You're not gonna be able to see the background. You're not gonna be able to see the undead. You're not gonna be able to see the magical effects. So how important is it to you that they have their wings shown in this image? Or I could maybe have them underneath his cloak in the back. So be really tactful in how you're going to express your discontent with the direction or a contradictory vision of how you're going to do that, so that you just don't piss them off. Because a lot of artists, y'all are just coming at this really tactless, and that's why you're not getting more jobs. Now, the worst thing that you could do for why you're not getting more art jobs is because you forgot to hit the like button. So definitely make sure you do that, because I love making content like this and helping y'all out and starting, maintaining, or progressing your art careers. Now, let's not forget about this one. Now, as you're going through your projects and you're working with your clients, let me ask you this. What's your update procedure like? How do you let them know what the progress is? Are you one of these people that just send off an email, just send off a quick message and just boom, here's the image? If you're giving really lousy updates, people are not gonna like working with you. If you've ever had the experience of having children, it's kind of like if you go to the doctor's office, they're gonna let you know, okay, we're this far along, we got this long to go, here are some things, some symptoms that you might feel, and here are some things coming up in the future. Be like that with your art updates. Tell them, hey, this is what I've done this past week, and this is some of the stuff that I intend to do in our next update, and here's some of the stuff I'm excited for. And also let them know, hey, don't look at that. Now, if you're unsure just how to even update clients and what's a good update versus a bad update, that's a whole topic in and of itself. I made an entire video which you'll find right down below there, so definitely go check that out, because that is going to be game changing for a lot of you watching this. Here's a big question I want to ask you. Do you treat your art, even while you're working with clients, even while you're freelancing, like it is a job, or do you treat it like it is a hobby? If you were working at a 9-to-5 job and your boss said by 10 a.m. I need to have that report, and you didn't get that report in, you'd probably be in some trouble. You'd be in some deep water, right? Treat it that way with our clients. Are y'all missing your deadlines all the time? Do you say that, hey, by Friday I'm gonna have your next update, and then Friday comes along, and what do? You don't even have anything. Maybe you didn't even do anything that week, and you didn't communicate it to the client. You didn't tell them anything about that. If you're missing your deadlines all the time, and you're constantly pushing it out, if you say, hey, I'm gonna give you your update on Friday, and then they don't hear anything, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's Wednesday and they get an update, that's gonna piss them off. It's gonna make them feel like it's not a priority. Can't tell you how many times I need to push back an update, but I'll keep it reasonable. If I tell them, hey, Saturday night is when you're gonna expect your update, and then Friday night rolls around and I know I'm not gonna get that done, I'm gonna reach out to them and say, hey, look, I really wanna give you the best possible update possible, and I'm not gonna be able to do it on Saturday, but I'll definitely get it to you on Sunday. Keep it reasonable, like within 1 or 2 days generally, and you're okay with that. And the client's gonna understand that because they want the best possible results, and so do you. So work together on that, my friend. But if you're missing deadlines all the time, or they don't even matter to you, if you're not treating your art like it is a job, then it won't pay you like a job. If you're treating it like it is a hobby, it will pay you like it's a hobby, which is this much. See the difference? Do you get an email? Do you get a DM from your client, from your team, from your director, and they ask you a question or they reach out to you? And then what do? 3 days later, you send off a response like, bro, are you really that busy? Show me your screen time right now and show me that you were too busy over the course of 72 hours to respond back to somebody's message. That's just unacceptable. It's just laziness and it's avoidance. And yeah, sometimes you got to deal with some hard things. I get it. It happens with us, okay? But nonetheless, you have to be the professional. If you want to be a professional, be a professional. And that starts and ends with how you communicate with other people, because it shows that they are valued. And the number one thing humans want, and especially our clients or art directors, our teams want, is for you to value them. So show that you value it. Here's your golden principle here. Adopt mine if you wish. 12 hours, within 12 hours of receiving anything, make sure that you respond. That might even seem like it's too long to you, but here's the thing. I work with a lot of international clients. Sometimes they'll hit me up while I'm asleep. So within 12 hours, boom, I'm going to respond to that person. And if you really want to level up your art business, this is what you got to attend to. It's number one, customer service. Think about it. So if I was to ask you, what do you think is the number one thing that you could ever do to an art client or an art director or your team that would pretty much blacklist you? It would probably be ghosting them, don't you think? If you're just avoiding them, y'all, there is a greater issue at hand. And there are legit reasons why I think sometimes this happens, but there is no legitimate reason for you to do this and just let it go like it doesn't matter. Here's what you need to understand. Regardless of what happened in your life, you have to be the one to hold yourself accountable. So listen, the next time that you say to yourself, I don't have time to do this project, even though you've already accepted, even though you've already been paid for, even though you've already started it, just say this phrase, I just don't care, because it's not a priority to you. So if it's not a priority to you, make sure you give that client back their money. Make sure you apologize to them. Make sure you reach out to them. Don't avoid that awkward conversation. Just embrace it and accept it and make sure that you make things right. It is never okay for you to just ghost somebody and to just disappear into the nether and just make them feel like they were screwed. Don't set yourself up for failure like that, my friend. Deal with it. Don't avoid it, because if you avoid it, then you're also avoiding your potential. Have you ever thought of it like that? Hey, have you ever accepted a job where you had to do something you've never done? Maybe it was a weapon, maybe it was a hairstyle, maybe it was a clothing style, maybe it was a background. So let me ask you this, friend. Do you actually do it? Do you actually deliver the artwork that the client wants? Or are you just delivering excuses? Have you ever turned in something to a client and kind of just danced around the fact that you didn't really do it? So for example, in this artwork, I knew from the get-go that this was going to be a big push for me to do all these magical effects plus all these undead creatures that this Dragonborn character is slaying right now. But here's the thing, I chose that, so therefore it's my responsibility to pull it off. Like, imagine if I just didn't even try with that background. Imagine if I just tried to, just use the soft round brush and try and paint it out. Have you ever done anything like this before? Do you ever deliver something to a client and you're like, yeah, well, this was kind of hard. This was kind of difficult. Like, listen, if this is you, friend, here's my advice for you. You need to seek resources, watch some tutorials, check out more resources. For the love of God, how many references are you using too? You're probably having a terrible time because you don't use references right, or you don't have enough of them. What are you working off of, 3 or 4? That's not enough for professional grade artwork. You can do better than that, friend. So in the end, make sure that you fulfill everything that you can accept. And yeah, it's okay for you to accept at some point that is not the best version that you'll be able to do in 5 or 10 years from now. But make sure that you throw your entire being at that every single time, and that client's going to appreciate it. They're going to love it. They're going to respect you for it, and they're going to trust you more as you go. Now, as you're navigating the freelance channels and you're learning about yourself and growing your business, it's really important to make sure that you don't get walked on, that you understand your rights as an artist so that you don't get taken advantage of, which is why you should definitely watch this video right here where I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know and combat any rhetoric that you've ever heard before about why you don't deserve your rights. So go ahead and check it out.